It's about transferring today. All of the products that we use in this video are provided by the world-famous tattoo supplier Wormhole Tattoo. You can visit Wormhole Tattoo website. Transferring means to transfer a tattoo pattern to the guest's body in a different ways. There are many ways to do it. You can choose different ways to transfer it according to the body part, different tattoo patterns, and your operating habits. And I'm going to introduce you some tools we need to use and different ways to transfer. And I will make a demonstration. Then you can choose different ways according to different tattoo patterns in your study, in practice. The first one is a copier machine. I often use A3 or A4 paper because these kind of papers are thicker than others. We need to use a toner copier machine to make a copy of the tattoo. We cannot use a laser copier machine, inkjet copier machine, or dot matrix printer. A copy of the tattoo will be like this. The line is black. And we need to use transfer cream oil. What is transfer cream oil? It's a chemical mixture of solvents. It's a mixture of 500 cc liquor, thinner, and 2 bottles of red flower oil. It will cause some stimulations to the skin since it's a chemical, but it volatilizes very quickly. What are its advantages? It can help you to transfer the pattern to the body part exactly. Why did I say so? Because one of the ways to transfer is by hand. You may change the pattern shapes or make an error if you do transfer by hand. So, transfer cream oil is good for standard patterns, such as the totem, geometry, and other small patterns that don't need to be transferred by hand. The back of the pattern will be on the body part after being transferred if you make a copy of the front of the pattern. Firstly, you need to flip it horizontally by Photoshop, then print it. I will make a demonstration of this transferring method. So, we need to use a transfer cream oil when we use a toner copy machine to make a copy. This is one way. The second one is to use a transfer paper. This kind of transfer paper is a single page. It can be used multiple times. Some kinds of transfer paper can only be used one time, but we reuse this one which is good for transferring by hand. Like this picture. You can transfer it by transfer paper instead of transfer cream oil. After sketching the pattern, you need to use a speed stick or transfer liquid to transfer it. You can use it, one of them. You can put the pattern on this transfer paper, and then you can sketch it out. Well, I just sketched out a few lines. After that, as you see, there are few blue lines on the back of the paper. After sketching out the pattern, you can choose different kinds of speed stick or different transfer liquid to transfer it. Why are there so many transfer tools? What are its characteristics? You may meet some problems when you use a speed stick. After transferring, since the speed stick volatilizes slowly, the tattoo pattern will blur. If you accidentally apply it to the tattoo pattern, which will also blur. It's good to use it when you are tattooing on the practice skin. We had better use the transfer liquid when we are tattooing on the human body. The tattoo pattern has a nicer coagulation and moisturizing effects. This paper can be used multiple times. Another kind is a 4-ply transfer paper. The first ply, the second ply, the third ply, and the fourth ply. We can also sketch on this paper. We can remove this white paper in the middle. Look, we can sketch on this layer. It's really thin. It's thinner than a piece of A4 paper. When we are transferring a pattern to the body, especially to a curved body part, it won't be deformed because of the shrinkage of the paper. There are other papers thinner than it. For example, this copy paper is more absorbent and thinner. It's ideal for transferring patterns on parts with higher and lower amplitude. The pattern won't be deformed either. We can put the pattern draft on this transfer paper and sketch it with a pen. There is nothing on this back of this paper. Let's open this transfer paper. Look here, there are lines on it. We can use this paper to transfer. After sketching, the blue stuff of this transfer paper will fall off, so it can only be used one time. This paper is good for the hand drawing. When we are using a transfer machine, we have to choose 4-ply paper. I'm going to show you how to do it. There is another kind of paper, it's very thin. What is this paper used to do? It's used for the Inkjet printer. We need to add blue ink in the Inkjet printer. Before printing, we need to modify the pattern on the computer, especially portrait tattoos, which are complicated, or other tattoos we don't want to sketch, and put this paper into the machine and print the pattern. These are kinds of transfer paper. These are the ways to transfer by paper. Another way to transfer it is by hand. You can use this kind of tattoo pen. This drawing is hard to erase if you use a tattoo pen to sketch. You had better use a blue, red or green pen instead of black pen. The outline will be black after transferring it to the body if you use a black pen to sketch. You will be confused when tattooing, because you don't know whether the lines are done by you or not. You will find that some lines are missing when you erase it. If you add lines again, the fluency, the combination of the pattern will be a little worse. Some tattoo artists like to follow the lines or the outlines when tattooing. If the lines break off, even though you fill in the lines, its color and fluency will not be combined with the previous ones. So, don't use a black pen. You must use a colored one. After transferring the pattern to the body, if some lines are not transferred, we can use a pen to fix it. Sometimes we need to modify the tattoo pattern or we need to add some ideas. We can use this pen to modify. Compared with the original one, you will know where you modify and what you add. There's a pen refill inside it. You can change it at any time. This is a pen refill. Well, this one method. Another way is to sketch by hand. Some artists who have painting skills want to sketch by hand. He may use many colors when he is designing a tattoo pattern. You may be confused with so many colors. Which color is the best? This is actually related to the art method. Because when designing a pattern on the body, the artist has to make an outline way. So he would choose the lightest color. When the outline is done, he will choose a slightly darker color than this. For example, he may choose a blue, then design the detail and combine them. After doing these details, he needs to do something more elaborate or design finer details. After designing, he will use a darker color to make the final draft. Then a design is finished. So, the final color is the color he wants to use when tattooing. So, he has to use a lot of color pens. Some tattoo artists like Chinese paintings. If he wants to add a calligraphy font, Chinese painting or splash ink effect when designing a tattoo pattern, he won't like to use a hard pen. Sometimes he will choose to do it with a brush pen. The effects were done by it, such as fluency, poppy, ochre, and the superposition of colors, which might be so effects that the tattoo artist wants to perform. If he draws with a hard pen, he may not achieve these effects. So, this method depends entirely on the tattooist, tattooing habits, and the size and the shape of the pattern. Some patterns are very simple. He directly uses transfer cream oil. Some patterns are complicated. He uses transfer paper. Some patterns are very fine. He prints them directly, instead draw it by hand. Some patterns needed to be modified by hand. It all depends on the tattoo artist and his painting skill. Some are good at what kind of painting tools they can use, and he uses similar tools when designing. Another paper is sulfuric acid paper. Sulfuric acid paper is a transparent drawing paper. What's its function? It plays a role in sketching, typesetting, and puzzles. It helps us to save time. For example, this tattoo is very popular right now. A lot of customers want to get such a tattoo. We need to print it every time a guest comes, which will waste of our time. Wasting time may cause customer loss. We will use a sulfuric acid paper to make a template on the light table in advance. After the template is made, we also add other patterns based on this graphic. Take this design as an example. A peony is below the fish. Then you can add lotus, sun, hill, rock, or wave around the fish. We can make many different designs. When customers choose patterns, they will have more choices. That's some introduction to these tools. We will make a demonstration of how to use these tools and how to sketch them. Now, let me show you how to use a copier machine. After printing it, let's deal with some details. Firstly, you need to modify the tattoo pattern and adjust the size on your computer, and then print it. You can also print it firstly and adjust the size with a copier machine. Well, I just printed this fish. How to adjust the size if I think it's big? Then I'm going to adjust the size. Look, compared with the original one, it's much smaller. It's only half of the original one. Then you can compare it with the tattoo area. Make sure whether the size is okay. If it's not the right size, we can continue to adjust it until the guest is satisfied. That's a way to narrow it. How to enlarge it? What if the guest wants to get a back tattoo? Firstly, put it inside the machine and scale it up. Here we go. Let's adjust the size. Start zooming. 100% is normal size. Now, I enlarge it to 150%. Well, it's now 150. I'm making a copy of it. As you see, when it's enlarged, only parts of it can be copied. The other parts cannot be copied. So, what should I do? Well, I will make my first copy. Then only this little part can be copied. This part won't be copied. After that, I will make my second copy. Then this part will be copied. And then the third copy and the fourth copy, 4 times and 4 parts, 4 times later. These copies would be like this. And then I will make a jigsaw. Piece together the jigsaw. Now, I'm going to make it. The copy machine magnified this picture just now. If the guest wants to get a back tattoo, we need to magnify it to 150%. As a result, these copies will be like this. Then, at this time, I need to make a jigsaw. Contrast the original pattern. Well, it's almost finished. Next step. Then I will cut off all the white edges.
剪掉之后把白边全把它给剪掉。
The third step, I will glue them together with a transparent tape. The fourth step is to cut off the extra parts.
我们最后出来的效果是这个样子啊。
Finally, it will be like this. This is what it would be. Then I need to put a piece of sulfuric acid paper below it. This paper is very thin and very absorbent.
这种拷贝纸非常吸水，这种纸非常薄非常柔，拷贝纸。然后呢
And put it below these copies. Remember to put a reusable transfer paper below the sulfuric acid paper.
用这种转印纸放在上面，然后
This desk must be hard,
底板要硬，
otherwise I won't sketch the outline.
它描的线描不出来。然后
I need to use a hard pen. A ballpoint pen is okay. Then I will sketch the whole lines. When sketching, you can do the marks and change according to your own habits.
粗细和更改都可以进描。描完
After sketching, the pattern will be this.
反过来。
Okay, the outline is done. The next step is to transfer. I want to show you how to transfer it.
示范方式。
Plug the transfer machine into a wall outlet and turn on this switch.
打开。
These lights will be on. Then gently make the two sides apart by hand.
摆开。
And then choose a pattern that needs to be transferred.
现在要转印这
I will transfer this image.
张图。
I need to use a 4-ply transfer paper. Remove this white paper in the middle.
抽掉之后，
This yellow face down.
这一面朝下，朝下
Insert it in the little slot. Go ahead.
塞进来。塞进来的
Flatten the carbon paper.
蓝色纸要拉平，拉平。
Then put the paper into it.
卡进去，卡进之后，把这个要转的图
Insert it in the front slot.
进去。它是
Then press the blue button.
键，
Hold the transfer paper gently.
纸轻轻的提住，轻轻的提住。
Don't use too much force. It's done now.
这样呢，
I just transferred this image.
纸，我们就把这个图给转出来了。
Open it and have a look. Compare them. And cut out of the image that the guest wants.
把它四周给剪出来。
Well, I cut out of this one.
剪出来。
And transfer it to the body. This is an inkjet transfer machine. This machine needs to use a thinner transfer paper.
薄，一面
One side is smooth, the other side is rough.
啊，
Make sure the rough side is facing down. Pick out a picture on the computer and print it.
挑好了图之后呢，然后直接进行打印出来，
Finally, it will be like so.
这样子。
It will become a blue image. Some lines of this image are thin,
图形比较细，
and the shape is complicated.
复杂。如果说
If you transfer it by hand, it will be deformed,
会走形，图形会变形，然后
which has a bad influence when you sketch it.
建稿。
So, you had better print it with an inkjet transfer machine and transfer it to the body part.
这个
This is a light table.
台，
There is a light under the glass plate. Turn it on. It's going to be very bright. Then we can compare.
如果说我们要把，
Now, I plan to make a sketch of this image,
然后
and then I put this sulfuric acid paper on it. Look, I can still see the outline. Turn the lights on. As you see, it becomes very clear. I will not ignore the details when sketching. I won't miss any lines either. The image won't be deformed. So, sometimes I use sulfuric acid paper to make a template. After making a template, I will always keep it. When a guest wants to get such a tattoo, I can make a copy of it and enlarge it or narrow it. And I can do it in a batch. Sometimes several guests come to my studio at the same time and they want the same tattoo. At this time, I can take the template out, make copies quickly according to the size requested by them. You can do it very quickly. Another way is to make a jigsaw. For example, after I sketch the fish head, and I think there is too much space here, I can look for another image. I think I can draw a lettuce flower here. I can adjust it from the different angles. And then I'm drawing a lettuce flower here. Finally, it's a picture of a fish above the lettuce. So, you can look for a lot of pictures online. And make a jigsaw in this way. So you can create a lot of styles. Each guest may have his own requirements. So when you are making this fish tattoo, you can make 20, 40, even more styles by making jigsaws. So there are 100 pictures that can be chosen. When the guests come to my studio, I can do it faster and conveniently. I don't waste a lot of time. Well, that's all for today. See you next time.